Hello everyone, it's Jumbo Cat, and today I have a particularly new, and less well-known, MOC, but, for some backstory, there was a video game, entitled, The Knights of the Old Republic, and it showed basically the Great Galactic War and everything, and all the events with the Sith Empire, the Old Republic, and the earlier days of the Jedi Order. And so this is what this is based on. In that game, there is a planet named Korriban, which is basically the birthplace of the Sith, and where they all really began. And so it was a huge punch in the balls when the Jedi and the Old Republic conquered it and brought it into their own faction. You can imagine the pain of losing your home to a warmonger. Anyway, so for years they gathered their strength, and eventually they attacked the planet and in orbit aerial base, which housed Jedi and Republic troopers. Eventually there was they attacked it with starfighters and such, and then they landed strike teams inside of the facility to wipe out all of the enemy. And this is what it depicts. This kind of shows a group of Republic troopers taking cover behind some crates and making a brave last stand. Something interesting about this MOC is that is the first time that I've used the snot technique, and it's not mucus inside of your nose. It's a term used in the LEGO community, which means studs not on top. Where basically you just use bricks, and then you can use bricks like these, so that way you can build it up if you want to make a building or whatever. So that's how I built it. It would have been a lot different if everything went to my original plan, because my original plan was to use this plate to cover it with dark gray and light bluish gray tiles to make it nice and smooth, and then I would just use like jumper plates to keep the minifigs in place, but then I realized that I didn't have a lot of light bluish gray tiles and so forth. Then as a last-ditch effort, I used the snot technique, and I had never tried it out before, and it took a lot of trials and errors, but it turned out like this, and I am unbelievably pleased with it. Sorry for that awkward pause there. Yeah, that's basically the story of the battle. The Sith eventually did win, and then it sparked off the Great Galactic War, which, interesting thing, close to the end of the war, the Sith, tried to see if the Old Republic would agree to, a ceasefire and an end to the war, and then, while that was happening, they mustered a fleet, and they sacked Coruscant. Basically, they left it in complete ruins. And something about the snot technique. as soon as I built it, it became kind of a double-edged sword, because I couldn't, because, you know, since it was smooth and I hadn't put in any bricks where, you know, where it had studs on the sides, that way you could set them down, they kind of had to just be standing completely straight, so that way they, so that way they wouldn't fall down. And then I thought, well, that doesn't really, you know, show like personality and motion and realism into it. So then I used jumper plates to, you know, kind of steady them, so that way, you know, this guy looks like he's being shot, and this guy can be running and he won't tip over. And a bit of information, I don't know if you are wondering, but in case if you are, this guy is not counted as an Old Republic trooper, but well, in the LEGO community, but in the faction there were a lot of different types of soldiers in the army, and more often than not you would see guys who were dressed like how the Rebel Alliance did. In fact, most of them dressed similar to the Alderaanian Royal Defense Forces guys, you know, like the ones we see in A New Hope. And there were several squads that dressed in the armor that we often see them. And so yeah, basically the Sith are attacking them. They're holding pretty strong, but of course we'll have to see how well they go up against a Sith. Anyway, thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions for a MOC or a video, please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Now, thank you all for watching. I'm Jumblecat, and I'll see you later with more great content. Have a great day.